Hey guys, it's been a while since I have actually posted anything from myself with my own voice. I've spoken to a few friends of mine and they suggested that instead of paying OpenAI to read chapters, that I should read them myself. Now, I'm not going to read a chapter in this clip. I'll read excerpts, but not a whole chapter, because that's what the book is for. And the YouTube videos are just samples for you guys to be aware of that, yes, even today in 2025, there is content, there is material that is unknown and I dare say essential, indispensable, and exclusive to this teacher that I'm working with. Not obviously personally, but I'm working inside the archives and trying to pull out the gems for you guys to be able to apply in your own lives. One of those is Venus rising. A lot of people don't know about that. That the sun rises in the morning, but Venus also rises and Sirius rises. And when you're outside, when those planets rise, you absorb an energy that you didn't previously have, if any, or enough of. I mean, this teacher even goes so far as to say that if you don't go outside, and if you're not outside when Venus rises, then you will likely have these unnecessary disputes with your partner. Now, of course, I'm paraphrasing, and he's, I guess I can quote that and read that excerpt out for you guys to chew on yourselves. But that's what I've been working on. I've been busy with crypto. I've paid off my debts with crypto. Now I'm still working with crypto because I need to finance. Ultimately, obviously, we need a meditation retreat, don't we, guys? We need an incredible center that we can go to in Europe or in Australia, maybe even in Latin America. I'm not so sure, or in North America, where we can go there and it's quiet, it's peaceful, and we can have great juices and eat well there too. We can meet great people, we can dance, we can sweat the steam rooms, we can get some sun therapy, we can get some aromatherapy. That's like 10, 20, maybe even more $1 million. So right now I'm investing and trading, and not too actively these days because I've been working on the book more, and I've put a couple of chapters, or really one chapter from the book, on this YouTube channel. And the book, for those of you who are interested in metaphysical or esoteric knowledge, is by an author who taught in the 1920s primarily. Most people don't know who he is because he never taught in English. And I have read the content of what I believe to be all of the best in the world, best teachers of esoteric information: Gurdjieff, Jesus, Samael, Paracelsus, now Anthony William, Mark Atwood, Eliphas Levi. And Bainter stands head and shoulders above all of them in that he really provided essential foundational information, while the others provided also essential foundational information. But, well, it's just more advanced and assumes that you've taken care of your life up to a certain point. The payment of debt isn't emphasized so much in other teachings. The physical body, having your physical body and your fingers correct, and your eh, just certain things just aren't in those other teachers. So we'll do some readings, but that's what I've been busy on with crypto, and busy with my physical body, my health, trying to make sure my health is up to scratch. Because as the years pass, if you make mistakes, as I certainly have made mistakes, you have to spend more money, more time on your health than you would like. And look, I really believe I've had a dream a few years ago from this teacher, and it was like he was communicating with me and calling me. And he's a wizard. That's how I understand him. He was a wizard, and I believe he's an immortal, a mastermind. And I'm not really sure what the title of the book is going to be. Maybe wisdom from a wizard, a, a wizard's wisdom. But it's too tacky. I've got another title in mind that I think is going to resonate a lot more with people. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the world as well, and just my perspective, my esoteric perspective on it might be a little refreshing. We have to remember that the reason why we're in this situation, that the world is dark, is because the words have been scrubbed out. Censorship, the dirty C word. Now, for a long time, I believed that promiscuity and drugs were the sources of all evil, but that's not what the Dayspring of Youth says. When it was published in 1931, he says very clearly in that book that it's censorship, it's an editing, a manipulation, and really an adulteration, really editing and changing old books. Now we have the internet. Now we have access to those books. We have access to new books, and we have access to old books that have only been discovered recently. So we really have access to pretty much everything at the moment, but it's not all in our language, and it's not all accessible. Like if anyone gives you a book that's 10,000 pages long, you can't expect somebody to read a book that's that long. But that's what I'm working with. I'm working with an archive that is maybe bigger than that, and I have to pull out of that archive just the most essential ideas so that we're not hindered in life by our ignorance. So we got to remember that censorship is why we're in this situation, and information, the right information, can help us come out of the darkness, out of the hole that we're in as a society. Now, look, there's a lot of people who are just not built that way. They just, I was at a party recently, and this girl told me at the party, ever since I was a young teenage girl, I wanted to kiss all the boys and all the girls. That's how she's built. She's not interested in monogamy. She will never be interested in monogamy. No one can convince her otherwise. She's wired that way. Maybe it's in her tendons, it runs through her fingers. She's wired that way. The planets speak to her differently, perhaps. We're not really sure. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people in this world who want to change inwardly, who know there's something wrong with the world and with themselves and with the direction of the world. And it's dark. It's a dark place. And it's a deceptive place. It's a misleading place. So where are we at with knowledge at the moment? So most people are still unaware of who Anthony William is, despite the fact that Tony Robbins endorses him. And Tony Robbins is at the top of his game in that life coaching, life strategy type of thing that he does, right? So you've got a lot of actors and musicians who follow what Anthony subscribes, and still a lot of people don't know who he is. And what does that tell you? Well, censorship comes down to censorship. He was kicked off YouTube, not YouTube, TikTok recently. And he's one of the few living prophets we have today. He's a health prophet. He's not really a prophet on many other things, but he does talk about numbers. He on Telegram, he's done it before, numerology, and he is in 2025 for the first time in his 40, 50 years of teaching. He's going to be releasing a book with esoteric information in there about souls and uh, you know cosmology and who knows all this other stuff. I'm not really sure what's everything that's going to be in the book, but the reason why that's important is because we have to be, if we want to help other people and help ourselves, we have to make sure we're up to date. We have the very best knowledge that's available, so that we can work on ourselves. So that ultimately we don't need books, but we essentially need something to lean on in the meantime until we get to that point. And even when we are at that point, there's a lot of people who just won't believe us, and you can then go and direct them to the book. It's like, hey, that book, the answer that you're looking for, it's in that book. You don't necessarily have to spend time on answering questions yourselves. And, look, there's a reason why those books exist, and those books need to exist. They need to be out there on bookshelves so that people can walk along, and in some cases, the book will just fall off the shelf and hit you in the foot so that you buy it. There are cases where books supernaturally move off the shelf. It happened with the autobiography Billion, where the ecstasy book came off the shelf and hit him in the head. But the books need to be out there, guys. Like, we need the books in the libraries. We need them on the bookshelves in the bookstores. And I don't really know how to do that other than donate the books to the libraries. Bookstores, I certainly don't know how to do that. I'm not a sales and marketing pro, as you can see by my 100 subscribers. But with the books out there, then people can manage their problems better and deal with these common everyday problems, and then the harder problems to deal with. So 2025, we have 20 years left on this, not on this planet, but we have 20 years left of of a society, of a functioning society before it all turns. That's what I believe based on some research that I've done. 20 years, that's it. Now, I have listened to different people about their positive visions of the future, and I sometimes get deceived and get caught into that and go, yeah, I have hope now about beyond 2045. But then I remember what I've been told and what I've been shown. And I have to come back to what I know, what I've been shown, what I've been told, my personal information, my personal experience. It's not good. I don't know when things are going to turn pear-shaped like they did in 2020, but all I know is 20 years, and between now and then, I'm not really sure the timeline and how things are going to play out. All we have to do is prepare. And how do we prepare? We need to prepare with certain information. We need to know breath work. Do we do nostril breathing? Do we do deep breathing? Who should we follow on that? Can you give me some instructions? What results should I expect? What about meditation? What about smoothies? What about juicing? What about relationships? What about the work in teams and detox and cleansing? We have to keep our physical bodies in check. There's an enormous attack in the world going against the bodies. There's always things every day. They're putting things in the air, in the water. There's an attack against the body. There's obviously an attack on ideas. We know that. Certain movies will promote certain ideas over others. There are some great movies that promote great ideas, but there's a lot coming at us, and we have to defend ourselves and know what's true from what's false. And so this year, 2025, it's going to be a special year. Anthony Williams is going to release his book, which is going to be great. I'm looking forward to reading it. With some luck, I mean, I have a wedding to go to in February, and I would really like to have the book ready by then because I want to gift it to the bride. I've known her for over 10 years. She's a great soul. And that's on me. I really believe from the experiences I've had that I'm the only person in the world who can put all this content together from Bainsa, put it into one book that you could read in less than 3 hours, maybe even less than 2 hours, and you just get the download. And of course, you have to read it again and again to really assimilate and understand what he's saying and why he's saying it. But it's philosophy for our time, not Plato. Plato's got some good stuff. Jesus has some great stuff. But Bainsa says it, and he says it better. And I actually put Jesus and Bainsa on the same level, but more the Gospel of Thomas Jesus, not so much the New Testament Jesus, because they're not the same. Now, censorship, the only way we can go against it is really by being examples ourselves so that people listen to us, because otherwise people won't listen to us, and making sure that we make an effort to share information with people who are receptive to it. And you know what? I subscribe to this idea, and you guys can think about this for yourselves, is that unless someone asks me, I don't really reach out generally. And I don't want that burden. If someone wants something, they will come and ask about it. They'll ask me, they'll ask the next person, and then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to answer that question. Ask and it shall be given. It's not don't ask and we're going to give it to you anyway. That's not how it's written. And if you were to intervene, like if somebody was to just be standing around and you decide to, hey, what do you think of this book? Hey, take my book, like read it. Hey, some information in this book. Like if they don't ask you, what I like to do is like, hey, someone you know wants to read this. I don't know who that is, but someone you know wants to read this. I would really appreciate it if you share this with that person. Use your intuition. I don't know who that person is, but somebody really needs to read this book. There's some information in this book that's essential, it's indispensable. They're going to be able to live a richer life, a more fuller, more conscious life on this planet with this information. Their soul needs it, so please share it with them. And the worst they can do then is just turn down the offer to help their friend. You're not directly helping them. So that's how I like to do it. But More than anything, I like to stay silent and just work on myself. And a lot of the greatest minds, greatest souls in the world, they're very quiet. They just work on themselves, and occasionally they'll publish something every few months. And yeah, okay. So what else has happened recently? We've got the Spiritual Outer Body Experience that was published by Mark Atwood. That is available. It's about $30, $40 book. That is the best book, as far as I'm aware of, on astral projection. Get it while it's still available. It was off the shelves for many years. Like you couldn't buy his book on that for many years. It's now a bit more comprehensive. Him and his wife have worked on it, and it's so Mark Atwood's releasing, I think, more material this year. So that's going to be exciting. So we got Mark on the scene, and look, Edgar Casey said something about this years ago. So Edgar Casey said that the World Teacher would appear in 1998. That's when Mark actually started teaching under his spiritual name in Australia. So whether or not that was a coincidence, everybody who is aware of that prophecy has actually tried to find who is the world teacher. Of course, I believe it was Mark. And something else that's worth mentioning about this is that in the movie Limitless, there's a character in it called Mark Atwood. And you only see him once in the movie. It's very symbolic. You only see him lying down and you see him dead, dead to the ego, because that's Mark's teaching essentially. Mark, Samael's, all the spiritual teachers, but Mark teaches how to do it in a pretty thorough sort of way. Because if you read Mark's biography, he does claim, for those who don't know who he is, he does claim that he is inwardly, his egos are dead, which is why he's reached the state that he has. And the movie Limitless has a character in there, which is very. When you watch the movie, you'll see that it's kind of like a bit out of place. Like it's almost like they intentionally put that in there to send a message. Like there are many movies that the it seems like the people who the sorcerers who run this world, they're obliged to insert this information into the movie so that nobody has an excuse as to why they didn't exit the Matrix, why they didn't jump off the sinking Titanic while they still had a chance. So yeah, so we've got like Anthony Williams, the health prophet. We've got Mark Atwood. He's your esoteric, your spiritual prophet. You got Bain Sedon. He's your philosopher. He's your contemporary philosopher that helps you think in ways so that you can apply the stuff that Mark and Anthony and others teach. And also, there's just some stuff that Anthony and Mark will never teach that Bainson has already taught. And we need to sort of put it all together so that people have all the answers, not just some of the answers. It's really, really painful for people who have some, but not all, and they're just wondering why they're not getting the results they're getting. It's just really painful for those people and for the people in their lives because we sometimes come across people who have some really great potential, and it's painful to see those people not really explore and expand on that potential. Now, I said that I was going to read an excerpt from Bainsa, but we're almost 20 minutes in, so I'm just going to keep it really concise. I don't really want to go on and on. So I'm going to read just this really brief one. What is a powerful weapon against evil? Well, Scripture says that you've loved the truth inside people. So that means that the truth is in man. The truth is inside people. So if you are attacked by evil, tell yourself, say the following formula: God is love, God is wisdom, I am goodness, I am truth. And you can repeat that, by the way. So this formula will help you in all misfortunes, contradictions, and evils in your life. So I've actually taught this in South America, this formula, and it does work in protecting you from thieves. I've said it in dreams 3 times, and the people stop chasing me in dreams. And I've done it in the physical world too. So use it around people. I don't know if it has much of an effect if you say this just by yourself. And yeah, look, we'll be in touch shortly, and I'll be working on publishing my my book, hopefully before the wedding, which is coming up, I think mid-Feb.